Power Gaming. Today, we're doing our next of the best of series with the best of the infantry AT weapons. We're going to be looking at specifically not the AT weapons that like regular rifle infantry hold, because those truthfully most of the time, if those hit, things die. They're very consistent. They're either a hand grenade or they're a Panzerfaust or something of that nature. So I'm actually looking at like the dedicated AT squads, you know, the ones you call that are generally 2-man, you know, sometimes they're 6, you know, you have the special ones. I'm just focusing specifically on the weapon they use, not necessarily the makeup of the squad itself. So that's what we're going to be checking out today. If you enjoy this content, hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe for more Steel Division 2 and strategy game content. Let's dive right in. So we're going to start here with our 3 main, basically rocket AT weapon that infantry can use. And yes, I know what you're saying already, but what about the all-powerful rifle, AT rifle? Don't worry, do not worry, it's right here. But there's so many of them, I decided to put them in their own little tab over here. And actually, let's start with these, because truthfully, these are definitely the weakest of the 4, obviously, because they can't kill stuff at the same consistency. So let's start. Now, there is one more type of AT rifle in the game, and I didn't even put it on here because it's absolute crap garbage. It's the PZB-39 that the 28th Jaeger have, and maybe 1 or 2 other divisions kind of I think like 3 or 4 divisions kind of whack around. They are absolute trash. Don't ever use them. Why? Because they only do 1 damage. I don't even think they kill transports in 1 shot. Like they're so poop. They're only 5 points, but they're just poop. They don't do anything that you need them to do. They're poop. So that's why we're back down to these 3 AT rifles here. So we have basically 2 allied AT rifles and only 1 Axis rifle. They definitely use them a lot less than the Soviets did specifically. So hopping into the Soviets, they have 2 types. They have the PTRS and the PTRD. They both have 35 millimeters of penetration. They both do 2 damage. They both suppress blast. Is both irrelevant here. The PTRS has a slightly lower accuracy at 55%, while the PTRD has an accuracy of 60%. They both have a 400 meter range. The big difference here between these 2 weapons is the rate of fire. The PTRD fires only 10 rounds a minute, while the PTRS fires 17 rounds a minute. Then hopping over to our Axis weapon, this actually shows up more in like Romanian divisions and Hungarian divisions. I don't even think it shows up. It probably does. I don't want to say it doesn't, but it really is not common in actual German divisions. We have the Solothurn S18-100. This has a 40 millimeter penetration. It does 4 damage, skipping suppress and blast. We have 60% accuracy, 500 meter range, and actually it's 20 rounds a minute. It says 40, but note that there's 2 of them in this team, so that makes a big difference. So when we're looking at these AT rifles, truthfully, the Solothurn is by far the strongest. It has 100 meter extra range. It has a higher rate of fire at the 20 rounds per minute, not 40, and then the two Russian rifles. The PTRS is the better of the 2 Russian rifles. It has slightly lower accuracy, but it has a way higher rate of fire, which just makes it stronger overall. And of course, this Solothurn specifically, this is the Pusta Antakar from the Romanian division. These are actually super good because they fire so fast. They kill armored cars and stuff really effectively. A couple AT rifles can certainly take down armored cars, no problem. That's actually probably their most... outside of shooting transports, which is, I would say, their main use. Their secondary use is killing armored cars and sometimes light tanks, like very light tanks. But, you know, sneaking these behind enemy lines, that can be really obnoxious for them. Towns, they're really effective. Really tight woods can be okay with them, too. But really, it's towns and sneaking about that these guys are for. A lot of the Russian infantry just come with a AT rifle instead of a more powerful, AT weapon. You usually have 2 options. You have the more powerful AT weapon kind and then the DP version, which has one of these anti-tank rifles. I like having AT rifles on my infantry. It's very useful, but it's very important that you have a mix. If you only have AT rifles and someone drives a tank up next to you, you're going to be very sad. These really won't do much against a tank. From behind, maybe kind of, but it would have to be a pretty lightly armored tank. So those are the AT rifles, definitely the weakest of the things you're looking at, and you're least reliable in terms of actually killing enemy armor. These are for transport sniping and for killing armored cars, depending on the range. Now, hopping over to our actual AT weapons, we have the 3 standouts here. There is like 1 or 2 other like random weapons, like the Romanians, I think, have like a weird like rocket weapon, but since it's so niche, I'm not putting it in here. So looking at here, we have the bazooka, the Piat, and the Panzerschreck. So let's start here on the left with the bazooka. We have 180 millimeters of penetration, 10 damage. Ignore suppress and blast, don't care. Accuracy at 80%, a range of 250 meters, and a fire rate of 7 rounds a minute. To the Piat here, we have 150 millimeters of penetration, 12 damage, 50% accuracy, 200 meter range, and 7 rounds per minute. And finally, we have the only German version here, the Panzerschreck, at 200 millimeters penetration, 12 damage, 90% accuracy, 250 meters range, and 6 rounds per minute. So let's start with the worst of the three here, and that is by far the Piat. This is basically a meme weapon. I hate to call it that because it does kill stuff. I mean, the Piats will kill things. It's not that they don't. But that 50% accuracy here is really, really killer. These things obviously miss as much as they hit. And when you need these to hit most, they're going to miss. It's like when you watch a lot of casts, you'll see a lot of casters meme talk about the Piat. It's really not reliable. It's a very dangerous weapon dangerous as in like you cannot depend on this to make or break your victory. It has a shorter range of only 200 meters compared to the 250 on the other two. It's got the same sort of fire rate. It's got the lowest penetration. So actually, even if you sneak one of these up to say a King Tiger or IS-2 or something and you shoot at it from the front, it may not penetrate, which is extremely depressing. It's very crushing when you get one of these guys up close and they don't penetrate. So yeah, the Piat is a really unreliable weapon. It's definitely the worst of the three, and it's not dependable at all. You have to be very careful with them. Yes, they will kill things, but you're flipping a coin every time. More so than it just feels like more so than most weapons. I don't know why. I know it says 50% accuracy, but it feels so much worse most of the time. It feels like it misses all the time. So that's the Piat. The next one is the bazooka. Okay, so really it's comparing between the bazooka and the Panzerschreck when it really comes down to it. First off, the Panzerschreck does have a little bit more penetration, which isn't usually a huge deal. I mean, at this penetration, it's going to kill anything, but I mean, we have to say the Panzerschreck does have slightly more penetration. Also, because they're heat shells, they never lose any penetration. So, like, it doesn't matter if they're firing at the maximum range or the closest range. They have that exact same penetration. That's how heat shells work. Okay, the big difference here between the two comes down to this accuracy between the 80% and the 90%. It's negligible, and the bazooka will generally hit, but it is lower. Okay, it is definitely important to note that is a lower chance to hit. You will see the bazooka miss from time to time. Panzerschreck really rarely, and of course, if you vet these at all, that miss rate is going to be really, really low. And the miss rate is already really low, but the bazooka does have a small chance of missing. Okay, and the Panzerschreck really doesn't at 90% accuracy, and especially if it gets any sort of etchancy, it's firing at 100% accuracy. It really, unless it is super suppressed, then sometimes these miss. I mean, truthfully, the bazooka and the Panzerschreck rarely miss at all. They are very reliable for killing tanks. If you get them within that 250 meter range, they'll kill a tank. I mean, pretty reliably. But in terms of which is statistically better, the Panzerschreck definitely takes it. It has a slightly slower rate of fire, but it is negligible at the end of the day. Very, very little. Almost as negligible, the accuracy difference, but the Panzerschreck definitely takes it. It can kill literally any tank in the game. This will penetrate the highest level of armor in the game. So, you know, technically a bazooka might not penetrate the front of a King Tiger. The big one, the big King Tiger. So technically speaking, that is a limitation, but for the most part, if you get any of these within range of stuff, they should kill things. The Piat, again, being the one that's kind of like, it's a little bit lighter, but it should still pretty consistently, if it lands a hit, it should penetrate. And of course, these are all one-shot kills with their 12, 12, and 10 damage. This is not a big difference. 12, 10, stuff will still die in one shot. So those are our three main infantry AT weapons, and this is the comparison between them. And then of course we have our rifles, but those are the differences. We're going to put Panzerschreck as the king today of our AT weapon squads. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please hit that like and subscribe button for more Steel Division 2 content. Have a fantastic day.